The entire team at Emsolation want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We want to recognise that we are recording and telling our stories on the stolen land of our country's first storytellers. We wish to pay our respects to all Wurundjeri elders and ancestors, and to extend that respect to any First Nations peoples who listen to Emsolation. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples' continued connection to the land and waters of this country, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Always was, always will be.
Emsolation.
What a review.
What a review.
I don't even care. Other No. I care about the review. I don't care how harshly I'll be judged by other performers for reading my reviews out on my own podcast.
And Michael Lucas.
Who can say that any of us haven't had sex with a couch?
This is Emsolation.
Lady Gaga performed.
Is she the first performer in history to have done Super Bowl, Olympics, Oscars?
You are so homosexual for putting them together.
You're in Emsolation.
Clack.
July is over. It's gone OVAH, over. And it's gone like this.
I'm personally happy about it.
It's Christmas.
Well, I've done 8 shows in July, so I don't know what you've all been doing. Hello there and welcome to Emsolation. My name is Emsolation. I'm a writer, singer, stand-up comedian, maximalist power queen, neurodivergent magic brain, and comedic powerhouse, apparently.
As decreed by...
Another review came through this morning.
Haven't seen it.
If I may.
I'm getting the sense it's
If
not a
I may.
wishy-washy review.
If I may. And together with my best friend since I was 11, Mr. Michael Lucas, I bring you this podcast every week.
We're going to add Queen of Australian Comedy.
I can't say that.
No, it's just Queen of Comedy.
Queen of
He
Comedy.
didn't specify Australia.
So
Oh, yeah.
obviously there was if you hadn't seen it, there was a review where he was very kind and also double kind because he'd never seen me live. He wasn't really a fan. So to win those people, I won over 2 men over the weekend who both said in the reviews, never really heard of her. But ended up being called Queen of Comedy and won. And I walked into my friend Janelle's 50th on Saturday night. She's a comedian. Joel Creasy, and they were standing there together, and they didn't even say hello.
They just
But
went,
they said,
"Of course."
Queen of Comedy. And I was like, I didn't write. You don't understand. Every comedian who saw that would have snarkily screenshotted it and sent it to another comedian.
Yeah.
Because that gets thrown around so often. If you have a vagine or identify as a woman and you do well, someone will stick you with the crown. But
Having said that, you're I bet you're in good company. Would be
I'm
Judith
not.
Lucy.
I was going to say, I would
It'd be
Julia Morris.
Julia Morris, yes.
In my mind, it'd be Judith Lucy and Julia Morris as queens. I can't think of
Kitty Flanagan, or is she not as much of a stand-up presence?
perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. I more think of Kitty as an actor, comedic
Denise
actor.
Scott?
Denise Scott, 100%, 3 queens. But maybe I'm the next generation. I don't know. Either way, I just want to put it out there. It was not a self-claimed title. I did not
You should have
ordain.
said, I prefer to be called Youthful Queen of Comedy.
Princess. Spot on. Up and comer.
Anyway.
So anyway, I've got another review. This is from my Bunbury show. And my favourite line is,
I feel like I should read it because
I've already read it to Rob.
on air.
My favourite line is, it's hard to know where to start with so much greatness on display.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, you can read it. You read it. You read
okay.
it.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say. So she's a humble queen.
Okay, stop.
Okay, it's by Claudette Rizzi.
Yes, that's for my Sunday show in Bunbury.
Emsolation left fans wanting more and almost lost for words after her powerhouse performance with raw humour and stunning vocals.
That word's been in all 3 reviews.
At Bunbury Regional Entertainment Centre. How can you still be surprising people with the vocals? Somehow you are.
I know.
I mean, they're amazing, but you'd think at this point.
Well, a lot of people just know me through the podcast now or through my speeches.
But also, I'm old enough to remember the days when you surprised people with the comedy because they only knew you as the Australian
the
Idol.
singer. Now
But
it's
that's a
flipped.
long time ago.
Yes.
The multi-talented performer and media personality
Media personality.
shared her experience with a late diagnosis of ADHD, autism, and perimenopause with grace and generosity.
I am graceful.
Grace. Yeah, Grace is the
When you see me on stage this weekend, you'll understand why.
using her platform to empower and connect others through music and comedy, donning a spectacular costume with fully flowers
Indeed.
against a magnificent set. Rossiano rocked the stage. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's hard to know where to start with so much greatness on display.
I mean...
Firstly, but apparently she does know how to start, the music. Rossiano and her crew shared an undeniable music talent which kept the audience captivated, with covers and some of her own songs, relatable and unique. She commanded the stage and pulled at heartstrings. Her humanistic and down-to-earth approach on life and feminism was also one show encouraging love, acceptance and understanding. This is revolution happening here. It was a breath of fresh air. Her humour was self-deprecating and hard-hitting on her experience as an adult and as a parent with a public profile. It sparked thought and discussion. It was a no-holds-barred evening where the audience was invited in to navigate the uncomfortable truths about being a neurodivergent adult. Her wit, her sparkle, her vulnerability, her talent, her perspective was nothing short of awe-inspiring. I wish there was a button I could press.
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite all that went on, it was still not enough. With that feeling on wanting more hanging in the air as the curtains drew shut, the Outgrown tour is set to continue over east, finishing in Hobart on August 24. I believe you can still get tickets for Hobart, can you?
Yes, finishing in Melbourne on August 30th.
Yes, that's actually not true, but that's sold out.
That's
Forget
sold out. Oh, it's becoming
You've snoozed, you
Taylor
lose.
Swift-like. Try and get
It
tickets.
is.
Jesus. What a review.
What a review.
I don't even care. No. I care about the review. I don't care how harshly I'll be judged by other performers for reading my reviews out on my own podcast. Can you imagine? I don't care. Because if you got that kind of review, you too would read it out on your podcast. It's just not, nobody does that. And it's always been this weird thing in Australian comedy where you don't acknowledge the reviews because then you have to acknowledge the bad ones. Fuck that.
No.
The bad ones don't exist. The
No
good
bad ones for yours. I'm acknowledging 100% of the reviews. They're just all awesome.
What bad reviews? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know her.
I don't know her. So, no, it was great review, great weekend.
But best shows yet?
Adelaide was really great. All of them were great, actually.
Perth looked
Huge.
ginormous.
It was
Yeah.
1,700 people
Is that the biggest venue of the
so
tour?
far. No.
Oh, no,
Melbourne.
of course, yes.
3,000. And I got a shock when they put house lights up because we had a photo taken. We had a photographer in on the night and he took a photo. And when they put the house lights up, I didn't realize there was a whole third level. So when the house lights up.
Shout out to the people at the top.
And I'd only been really addressing the first two levels because some of the boxes at the Perth Concert Hall were on the stage. So I spent it, and there was a couple gays in the right-hand boxes that I loved playing to because they were like clicking and pointing and stuff. It was so great. And then they put the house lights up and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've been ignoring the upper tier level. Shit. But it was great. It was so great. But in the Adelaide Q&A, we had a moment and we had
Pre-show
Adelaide Q&A, we had a slice of Emsolation folklore history occur. And I wish you had been there. So during the Q&A, there's a woman sitting in the front row. She was great fun. She had cocktail earrings in. She was probably in her early 50s and her nickname was Cocktail Annie.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted me, Cocktail Annie. And her question was, what's the most shocking kind of AMA question you've ever received? Have you ever received, and she's gesturing to her side, have you ever received something from someone that just like you and Michael couldn't believe it? And I'm like, oh, she got a twitch. Or she's like, because a client of mine, and she starts pointing to the girl next to her, a client of mine sent something in about a man she was considering dating. And I was like, oh, Dick Cheese Bianca.
But hang on, considering, wasn't she dating the person
But
we were
yeah,
advising?
but it wasn't a serious relationship.
Right,
Remember, she was
right.
just starting to see him and was worried about all the red
was
flags.
still aware of the dick cheese, though.
So I'm like a client, and so it's the girl, and I said,
Oh
Dick
my
Cheese
God.
Bianca, and then the girl next to her says, it is I. I am Dick Cheese Bianca. So
Bianca of the dick cheese.
So yes, House of Dick Cheese, first of her name. Queen of the assholes. I know. So it's just like, I'm sitting there watching. So it turns out Cocktail Annie is Dick Cheese Bianca's hairdresser and has just totally dobbed her in front of the entire, there were 200 people in the Q&A.
Yeah.
So then I had to retell the story for the people who weren't extra subscribers.
Yeah.
So you'll remember Dick Cheese Bianca wrote in about the man she'd started dating and was wondering if the red flags were too much. We figured out it was a Chinese military parade of red flags.
It was unbelievable.
Unemployed, lived with the father, smoked, slept in the same room as his teenage son, didn't really know how to brush his teeth properly, and had an unfortunate issue with his foreskin build-up. Now, during this, she starts defending him. Dick Cheese Bianca pipes up and says, I just want everyone to know it was more of a smell. There was no visible dick cheese. So then we all lost it. I said, I need merch. No visible dick cheese.
Yeah.
And then they challenged me to work it into the show somehow. So during the show...
I really respect that challenge.
During the show, I dropped no visible dick cheese, to which 200 people fucking lost it. And the rest of the audience were like...
Yeah, actually, you're very well suited for that. I can see it just going in a little...
It was.
Yeah.
It
You
was
got to
just
open your
parked.
mental filing cabinet.
I did.
And you had your hand on it.
So, like, she is in folklore. She is legend.
But
not dating anymore.
Okay.
Broke up with him.
But still defending him.
And can I tell you, I don't know how to put this. She was just like normal. And when I use that word lightly, because I'm, I don't know what I envisaged a woman would look like who was considering dating someone with all those red flags. But the woman that sat before me was not who I would cast.
Yeah.
Like, she could do better.
Right. She's a catch.
That's what I'm saying.
Is what you're
she
saying.
was a catch.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there thinking, that is not, but I also couldn't tell you what I would envisage.
Right.
But it wasn't her. And when I'm sitting there and Cocktail Annie's dobbing her in and like, because Cocktail Annie opened with my client sent you a letter. I'm like, your client?
Yeah,
Are you a lawyer?
that is a
Are you
funny-
suck
yeah.
collar? Just a hairdresser. Not
Okay.
just,
Oh,
but
okay.
no
Yeah.
attorney-client privilege. But the way they just launched into it as a double act was incredible. And Annie's going, she's dumped him now. She's dumped him. I'm like,
I love that your fans go with their hairdressers to your show as well and then out each other about dick cheese.
it was amazing.
But
It was
also,
so
I mean, at the
amazing.
end of the day, it's yet another example that men and women are on drastically different
Oh,
levels.
oh.
As
So
if you needed any.
the shows were great. Bunbury was fantastic. It was, like the smallest crowd I've done probably, but it was still, a good 600 people. And,
Did a dress-up party on your day off.
yeah, I went to, I don't know why this is so shocking.
It's just, I think it's that doing 3 shows,
Yes.
I imagine, like, how Taylor Swift couldn't speak to Travis Kelce because she...
No, I was exhausted, but Janelle is one of my
I know.
best friends.
But
and
also, yeah.
I'm not going to not go show up. Like, she
But it
would
was
show
full
up for me.
because it was 80s, right?
It was 80s movie characters. Now, for me, obviously being autistic, I like to stick to the rules. T2 came out in 1991,
I'm
but
glad
the
that you are
Sarah
pointing this
Connor
out.
character
She
was
was
established in
established.
86.
And in fact, the last shot of her in the last movie when she's got the glasses on the front of the car sort of
She's in
reaches
that.
towards
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I felt okay about
But
it.
also, you could have... You're someone with a lot of just general ladies' clothes in your wardrobe. You could have copped out and just said, I'm sort of dressed 80s, but you did not. You went flaps to the wall.
And I wanted to go in something that was comfortable. Like, basically what I wore to the party was what I wore to the airport the day before. So all I had to do was add some guns and put a switch in, had a little ponytail in.
Yeah.
Look at my switch, Mum.
And also because she did have a strong fringe.
Yeah, so I did that 80s poof fringe. And there were actually 4
got the
others.
guns?
There were 4 other Sarah Connors there.
Oh.
Yeah. They went there. They didn't commit as hard as I did.
No.
But it was great. And Janelle, at a costume change that I missed, went into a Thunderdome costume after. But I'd gone home, so I went home at 10. Joel was there as top Iceman, but he had a John
saw
Farnham
that.
wig on.
Yeah.
I got to see Courtney Murphy, Australian Idol's own, who's like, he's fighting stage 4 bowel cancer.
God.
He was in between chemo, but it was just so great to see him. And he's in the battle. He's literally in the battle of his life.
Were Joel and Jack born in the 80s? No.
No, 90s. Especially, no, Joel's 34, Jack's only 30. Jack Strathsmith is Joel's boyfriend. So they were there. He was there as the Joker. But, I take my friendship with Janelle very seriously, and she's also someone that would absolutely show up for me no matter what, and has done. And she was so grateful that we were all there. Quite a few people have flown in from Melbourne. It was a great night. And yes, then I got up and went to the gym on Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah. It was at that point that I don't know why.
I loved it.
I thought that I just feel like I don't know. I felt like she's pushing herself. She's on the treadmill, literally.
I needed
pushing
to do
herself
it.
collapse.
No, I needed to.
Okay, good.
Exercise actually weirdly
But
energizes me.
the 10 p.m. is an important detail.
I was in bed at 10 p.m.
You're a responsible
Yeah.
manic energy.
Yeah. I got 9 hours of decent sleep.
And then, so to do 3 shows, like, were you really feeling
Yeah.
it Monday?
Weirdly, though, I was telling Rob Mills, who was in before, they've started calling me Jimmy Barnes because I can't speak, but my singing
sing.
voice is fine. Yeah. There's something weird about my wiring vocally that my speaking voice gets really husky, but my vocal abilities in there. So, no, the singing's been best I've ever sung, which is great. I don't know.
Wow.
Just really enjoying it.
Few reviews that would attest to that fact.
So Ballarat's this weekend. Last time I checked, there was 12 tickets left, which is amazing turnout. And then we've got Newcastle, Canberra, Albury. Then we've got Launceston, Hobart, and finally Melbourne. So I'm at the halfway point. Hobart is the only place that I haven't sold what I would like to sell. Hobart and Launceston, actually. So Tasmania, read the reviews. If you're not sure if you want to come, you need to come. Because honestly, it's the best thing I've ever made. And
did you know the reviews? My mum was so impressed with the reviews. She tried to text you, but then texted Scott.
I know. I meant to text her back.
Did she make it through?
No, she didn't. But Scott showed me last night when I got home. Of course, Scott didn't pass it on to me.
I know.
But I'll text you, Mum. I'll text her.
I just couldn't believe that it was such a nice thought. And then
she texted Scott.
The execution had a
That's
really
so
serious problem.
That's okay. Doesn't matter. It got to me eventually. Now, so anyway, all's well that ends well. Thank you to Dick Cheese Bianca and Cocktail Annie for the highlight of the tour thus far.
It sounds like their names sound like in your version of a post-apocalypse world when there's a new society, everyone has names like that.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
But it's also, you know, when your neighbours have nicknames that they don't know they have?
Yes.
Yeah. I did a whole thing on Instagram about this
hopefully
once.
none of your neighbours you call Dick Cheese.
Dick Cheese. But do your neighbours have names that nicknames they don't know they have? Ones that you can say on this podcast?
Well, yeah, we don't know their names a lot of them.
No. So
you
we've
have to come
got
up with...
Power Walking Nana.
Yeah.
We've got Creepy Unemployed Guy. We've got Whippersnipper Wanker. Like we've got a whole bunch on our street.
Right.
Who have you got?
Your
names will be... You've got Nonna.
We do.
Or Yaya. We don't know if she's a Nonna or a Yaya.
I'd say Yaya.
Yaya.
But I think that could be inaccurate.
Yeah.
Look, we pretty clearly divide it into gays and straights. Breeders and gays. But actually, to be honest, I don't even really know. Some of them might not be. They might be just happy single men who like to go to the gym. But I don't know.
So you just say the gay in 32. What do you say?
Yeah.
He's looking at me like, I can't say what I say.
Yeah.
Oh, my name's way more descriptive.
No.
It's my favourite game to play is neighbours' nicknames they don't know they have. I fucking love that game. Speaking of, JD fucked a couch Vance. Obviously, US politics, it's. I would say it's settled down a wee bit while we're in the vice president lipstick for your life scenario.
Which
that
I'm
is
enjoying so much.
full
And
swing.
actually, they apparently by the 7th, so it's really coming up.
Yeah. So currently, Donald Trump is, spiraling is an understatement, and he's lost the plot. In that he said, Christians, I love you, Christians, get out and vote. I'm not a Christian, but I love Christians. He just slipped it in there like a weird form of Tourette's.
Yeah.
It was strange. Oh, I love Christians, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I'm not a Christian. I love Christians. And then said the most terrifying sentence, I'm getting rid of, you won't have to vote again in 4 years, just vote one more time. And he is giving the Dems what they need to just pop up little videos saying, dictatorship incoming.
I know.
That, to me, was wild.
I know, it was wild. I mean, both of them, both him and his running mate, have these
JD
absolutely
Vance.
heinous quotes that keep popping up.
And the best part is, all the Dems need to do is point out how ill-equipped JD Vance is to be the president, because Donald Trump is old and sick.
Yeah.
And so if you vote Trump in with that VP, you are going to vote him in as the president. JD Vance will be the president at some point because Trump is not well. And let's be honest. And so you're choosing that man.
Yes.
So we've had the cat lady remarks resurface.
Yes.
Explain that.
So this was actually a few years ago. But
ages ago, actually.
Yeah. He mentioned Pete Buttigieg in this comment, and he was talking about childless people. And he was basically saying that the United States is run by people who don't have children. He was questioning whether people who don't have children can lead. And he said essentially...
He also said people who have children should have more power within their voting.
That's
and sway.
right. Their votes because they've got a stake in the future.
Yeah. Because people who don't have kids, they shouldn't get to say what happens in the future.
Yes. And then he said America is basically run by childless cat ladies.
Yeah.
Which is like in the era of Taylor Swift, in any era. But I mean, Jesus Christ.
But also, as I said online, I may have 2 dogs and 3 children, but in my core, I am a childless cat lady.
Absolutely you are, yeah.
I love all the things childless. Do you know the amount of witches that have been turning up to my shows? Witches with cats?
Yeah.
I've been given massive amounts of crystals at every show. I love a childless cat lady.
Oh, if you did a call out to the childless
The
cat
energy,
ladies.
yes.
And also,
Stevie Nicks, purple linen dresses spinning in the woods.
yeah,
Yes.
the care, the focus that they
Fuck
are.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
And
so-
if I wanted to run an event, get me a childless cat lady to organise that. Hello. If you want shit done, childless cat lady.
Taylor Swift actually is a childless cat lady.
Uh-huh.
Wow,
And some would argue the cats are the children.
they would. Well, it drew condemnation.
He has come out in defence of cats, though, JD.
He said yes, but he's doubled down.
Didn't
He still
defend the
said
women.
It's to the truth. Yeah,
He said, I like cats.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Jennifer Aniston,
Yeah.
said, and she was really great. She'd obviously
She
thought
went the
about
IVF route, which was
Yeah.
correct. Correct.
She said that she hoped, because he's the father of daughters.
Yes.
She hoped that his daughters were, if they wanted to have children, were able to have them and didn't have to go through IVF because he's working to take that away from them as well.
It was so good.
It was so good.
But also acknowledging that he only sees women in how they are an extension of him. Like, I love the way that she also did that. Because you can't argue that women are people to people like him. You have to point out how they're extensions of him to get him to listen. And then the persistent rumour that JD Vance had sex with a latex glove shoved between two couch cushions.
Yes. This
Dominating.
really, but also, now I feel like we should just say that this actually is unverified.
Well, no, unverified, but you can't say it's not true. And you can't categorize because the AP press. So first of all, he wrote this book, The Hillbilly,
Yes. Elegy.
that one.
Yeah.
And no one's read it. So somebody said,
Weirdly, I have.
of course you have.
Yeah,
But somebody
a
came
while
out and
ago.
said it was part of that book where he said
Yes.
that he had sex with latex gloves shoved between a couch
He has
cushion.
a lot of strange, like in things that, like at one point in that book, he said when he was a little kid, he thought he was queer.
Yeah.
Stuff like
So
that.
the correct statement is he didn't write that in the book, right?
Right.
So then AP Press put out a statement saying JD Vance, has not had sex with a couch. They had to take that down
yeah.
because that was not a verifiable fact that
No.
he had categorically
Who can
never
say?
had sex with a couch.
Who can say that any of us haven't had sex with a couch? But also, I mean, it really stood out because it feels true.
That's what John Oliver said. Go and watch John. I wish every joke John Oliver made I was going to make today.
Oh.
The fact that if a court artist said to me, sketch a
Yeah.
man who looks like he would have sex with a piece of furniture, it'll be JD Vance. He looks like that. It is so believable that he did that.
It is really believable. I also feel like potentially, we shouldn't shame people that choose to have sex.
Let's not
with
kink shame.
couches.
Let's not kink
And
shame.
Also, he was being clean.
He was into
He
a
had
latex
the rubber glove.
No one
so
was. Yeah, exactly.
Other people could calmly sit on that couch.
There
Who
is-
knows what you're sitting on? You sit on most couches.
Sticky couches. We've all been there.
We have.
I just think of all the things he's being accused of, that is the least offensive. That is
I
the
know.
thing that worries me the least about that man.
And yet I think it's going to have a real impact on,
Absolutely.
it reminds me of ScoMo and Engeline Macca's.
Oh.
It's the US version of that.
We
It's
had a
just out of
lady
control.
stand up at the one of the AMAs saying, I'm from Engadine. And I said, I'm sorry, all I can think about is Scott Morrison shitting his pants at the Maccas at Engadine.
Could she confirm?
She could not confirm, but she said it's like the most famous fact about their town, unfortunately.
It really is.
So if he's anywhere near an item of furniture for this, the Oval Office couches, better beware. They better
Yeah.
cover them in plastic like an Italian nonna's good room.
He's also he's not good on the stump. And this is a hard thing to know until you're there in the position. And one of the most astounding things about Kamala is she has had her moments of sometimes
she's
being a
coming
little
through.
bit wobbly. But
Doesn't matter.
since the red light performer, I would go so far as to say that in all of the many, many, many speeches she's done now since she's essentially got the nomination, flawless.
Yeah, I agree.
Has not put it so confident, so relaxed, whereas he feels strained. He tried to do that terrible thing he was trying to work up all the right-wing supporters by saying, you could do anything and the Democrats will call you racist. And then he tried to say, so I had a sip of Diet Mountain Dew, and they'll say that's racist too. And then no one laughed, and so he laughed, and he went, "I love you guys." It's terrible. And also, Trump respects a performer, and he'll be looking at that thinking, "Motherfucker."
Trump is mad because he has picked the wrong candidate because they picked the candidate to go up against Joe Biden. And now it's backfiring so spectacularly. There's one thing, and I wonder if you can pick it, that has occurred in the Harris campaign this week that has set my teeth, that I'm not okay with it. Made me feel weird.
The call from Barack and Michelle. Okay. So
We
for me
need
it was,
to dissect. This is not okay. It's not okay. It was badly executed.
It was awkward.
First of all, the phone was on speaker and she was holding it to her ear.
Yeah, that's a real problem. It's a real problem.
But it was just who decided it should be filmed?
Well, yes. So they uploaded this on Instagram, on all social media platforms, really. So we were all imagining, I think we were all imagining there would be a rally and then at a certain point there would be a reveal. We could have workshopped it with them.
Absolutely.
I would have anything. It could have been an American flag that just drops down and there they are, or sweeps aside.
I would
whatever.
like them all to have been harnessed up like Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's right. Oh, come down from the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Why haven't they hired us?
I know.
Quite frankly.
But instead,
yeah.
apparently he rang and then they staged and it felt staged.
It was so staged.
It was terrible. Like her just like answering the call like, oh, who could this be?
On speaker.
Yeah. And then holding that to her ear.
But you could tell she felt weird. She was kind of holding it like there.
Yeah.
But it was like, but
also the weird thing is that had happened days earlier before they posted. So they had time to look at it and go, is this working for us? I also don't understand why. I feel like the Obama's endorsing her could have been a more climactic thing. That it's like they could have saved it.
I agree. I think what should have happened is they should have just popped out a statement and then had them come out next to her dancing.
Yeah. Don't even pretend that it's a spontaneous like.
I want the mayor. I want the sketch of the downtime between announcing and not having their endorsement. I want to know what was happening at home with Kamala and Doug. Her just pacing, like just fucking raging at those two. Just being like, what the fuck is going on? I can see it in my mind's eye. So that's been the only misstep in my eyes in terms of.
And I'm actually surprised
cringe.
that it didn't really generate. I thought more people. I suppose what can you say other than it's just a bit cringe?
But what I do love is that Biden's gone, I'm going to have a fucking legacy, motherfuckers, and it's not going to be me giving away the presidency. It's going to be me reforming the Supreme Court. And she's backed it in today as her thank you. And I think history is going to remember how she behaved in the period where other Democrats were trying to push Joe out. She was rock solid behind him. She was nothing but positive and supportive. So I respect that about her because I don't know that any other person, she didn't show a smidgen of like, there was no predatory instincts about wanting it or being competitive. She was fucking rock solid on him.
She was. And yet clearly it must have been, she was so pitch perfect the very next day when it was announced that it must have, she must have split her brain in two.
There must have been a separate team working on the other scenario because that was so ready to go. But he has announced that he wants to put 18-year minimum terms because at the moment if you end up on the Supreme Court, it's lifetime. It's a lifetime role.
Yes, 18-year maximum term.
Yeah, so now they want an 18-year maximum term.
And that it's essentially like every 2 years of a presidency, the president gets to appoint a new one, and then they all rotate out.
And he wants to abolish this thing that Trump got in where presidents are immune to prosecution, blanket immunity. So that's what he wants to go out, and it won't be able to happen within his term, but he will have the legacy of it if and when it passes. Yeah. And I kind of love that he's like, no, I'm not. He's gone, what's the biggest thing I can do that will like just put an underline under my presidency?
And also it'll be popular.
Massively popular. So it's, but what we're doing now is RuPaul's Drag Race for vice president candidates and it is fucking on. It's on.
Oh, and they're all booking morning TV as much as they can and they're rehearsing their lines. Bashir is like.
Bashir is on fire.
Oh. He's got a gag writer.
Yeah. I'm fully backing him.
Oh, and Pete Buttigieg. I don't think he's going to get it. No. But I have had a couple of times where I was like, I think he's unquestionably the best. And he goes on to Fox News and his performance is amazing. But he doesn't.
He is the best, but.
He's not in a swing state.
No. And, I've been thinking about
he likes penis.
Obviously, he does like penis. What? Shapiro, Pennsylvania, right? He's Pennsylvania governor? Yeah. So she needs Pennsylvania, and the reason she's not strong in Pennsylvania is because she was anti-fracking quite a few years ago, and that's a big fucking fracking state, like massively. So That's why Shapiro may be back in the running, but because of his, as we said last week, he's very pro-Israel, and that is divisive, and they don't want anything that could divide her vote, especially because she's going so hard after the Gen Zs who are extremely pro-Palestine. So it's going to be, I just think that Shapiro makes sense on paper.
I feel like it's going to be the astronaut.
But yeah, so I said they're my two. Yeah, but the fact that also if his wife starts stumping with him, that's very powerful.
Yes.
So
on the border. So
it is. I do think Bashir, because the only thing working against Bashir is he hasn't served. He has no military service, at all. So the astronaut's strong there. But I just I like the cut of his jib.
Bashir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. And I think they're young and charismatic together. And I think he's from a conservative Kentucky. Like, I think he brings the centrist Dems in.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's centrist right in terms of his beliefs.
And the lines are so written, but he lands them. Like about JD Vance, he's like, the problem with him is he has no convictions, unlike his boss who has 32. Boom.
He's killing it. So that's it's a joy to watch.
Do you think... What does he got say? Will she get Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's endorsement?
I think it's bad Taylor hasn't endorsed.
Well, unless it's being saved.
Maybe. I don't know that Taylor is important to her in terms of who she seems to be going after vote-wise. She's got women because Trump is so bad with women. I feel like she needs Travis more than she needs Taylor at this point to get the men, to get the white centre male voters. I think she needs Beyonce, who she's kind of got. Yeah. But I don't know that Taylor's going to be.
I feel like for Taylor, no, I think it's more Taylor. I think Taylor.
She got burnt with the Hillary stuff though. Like when she came out for Hillary, she got torched by her Rust Belt country fans.
But then she made in Miss Americana, it was such a big moment when she defies her father and does it, and she's only got more popular since then. I mean, you could
I
say
hope
it was
she
a long
does,
term.
but I mean, I definitely think Harris's team would have made an approach. I also heard Harris's team has made an approach to the Mexican president. Like I said, she fucking should. So you just hold them off until I get elected, and they have been doing that.
Yeah.
And I know that women are not a monolith, and the fact that we have vulvas doesn't mean that we're going to be mates. But in this instance, it would make so much sense for Harris. And
I was hearing someone, and I've forgotten this. So much of the strength of Obama was that at that point, the Iraq War was so unpopular, and it was empirical. He had voted no to it, whereas Hillary had voted yes, and then George W. Bush had voted yes, or no, who was against John McCain. And up until the past couple of years, Kamala has lacked a similar sort of thing, but abortion has given it 10 times.
Yeah, she just put a video up. Do you know that?
I know.
22 of the, how many states are there? 52?
No, that's the number of weeks in a year.
How many states are in America? Anyway, I know that 1 in 3 American women don't have access to reproductive rights now.
Wild.
Yeah. It's almost working in her favour how hectic they've gone because she can just keep throwing it back at him.
Oh, totally.
Look, it's all happening. Before we go and move into sealed section, and in the sealed section, we will be doing an OK Stop on Celine's stunning performance in the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. And the Olympic Games have hit at just the right time because we need some fucking positivity. Everyone I know, even non-sporting people, are like, oh my God, I'm loving the Olympics so much. We need a break from the relentless shit show of the world. And I'm surprised at how I just sit, it's total escapism. It's always stories of triumph and overcoming things. And I've just been loving it so much. And my whole body twitches watching things because, as I have previously mentioned, I was on track to be an Olympian. Never got there.
Wow. Maybe the dream's not over.
Well, there was a 60-year-old. Did you see the Taiwanese lady who was a ping ponger?
Table tennis.
She came out of retirement at 60. Could happen. Just need a double hamstring transplant, and I am in. So Elio and I have been watching the Olympics.
Yeah.
We watched the synchronised men's diving. I show him way more female.
Tom
Daley. Oh, he's so
Silver. I know.
9-pack.
And then he said, I know, yes.
What a body. Fucking
with
hell.
his 2 little children sitting watching and his
so
husband.
gay.
And then knitting when he's waiting.
The knitting.
And that was his 4th Olympics.
I know. He came out of retirement for it. He'd fully retired. Now, there's so many great stories. And the Australian women's, the women's
team,
they are fucking dominating.
Yeah.
They are dominating. I'm loving. But I'm showing Elio, I'm just showing him the female sports.
Yeah. Simone Biles.
We watched the package. Him and I sat watched a 10-minute package I know this morning. And the only men's sports I'm showing is the men's diving.
Of course.
The men's I'm showing him all that because I want to balance the toxic masculinity because he's taken up rock climbing. My son is rock climbing 3 times a week. Watching Bear Grylls. We had to buy him the shoes. He's scaling Black Run 40-foot walls.
Really?
And adult men are standing around clapping, watching my son. Scott's so proud. Scott's like, yeah, there were guys there watching Elio climb up the wall.
Wow.
He's got no fear. He's learnt, taught himself to scale.
But also, he's a little person.
He's
still.
5. So Scott,
How's he even reaching to the things?
he's climbing.
Jesus.
He's climbing up all that. So he's doing advanced level rock climbing walls. Well, Scott,
I
blazing.
think that's a good thing. And
it's great, but he watches a lot of dude YouTubers.
Okay.
He watches a lot of apprentice incels playing Mario Kart and Zelda. So I need to balance out the energy. So he's just getting we watch the female basketball, the gymnastics, we watch the swimming team. He gets that Australia needs to win. And Elio, like, he's in now. So, and they had I dropped him off at Kinder and they were doing the Olympics at Kinder. So like he was lining up. He said, "Oh yeah, we watched the Olympics this morning." It's the first he'd ever heard of it was this morning. But don't worry, in classic ADHD form, he's become
What's the
an
first
expert.
Olympics you remember?
Oh fuck,
80.
Carl Lewis. I would say 80.
Seoul.
Yeah, I think Seoul Olympics had the biggest effect on me because the opening ceremony was fucking insane. And this isn't nostalgia. This is categorically fact. If you go back and look at videos, I mean, probably people's families are being held hostage and they're afraid to step out of line. But
the crazy formations. I do remember little memories of Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, me too.
I remember that they had the jetpack man that went up.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't actually remember the events. I just remember the opening ceremony.
I remember Los Angeles, but I remember just Carl Lewis and Flojo entering my consciousness.
Yes.
And my room was just posters of those two. Like I had their times on my wall. Because I started athletics in 1985.
Yeah.
Little athletics. And I did it right up until 1997. So I did aths that whole time, and my whole from my first year of Little Aths, I knew I wanted to be an Olympian. Like I had all the times on my wall. I had Australian uniforms. Like I had all the gear. I loved it. So like the Olympics, it's just I fucking love it so much.
And then Barcelona was the one where I was prepped. Then I knew I was going to love it. I was absolutely obsessed the whole time.
But I always love seeing Nikki Webster pop up whenever there's an Olympics mention. I mean, she's not dead. I'm crossing myself. But
why?
But just amazing. Flying across that. I mean, she's still got her dance schools. But Sean, my backing singer, and I were talking about her over the weekend. She's got a whole spate of dance schools now. Single mum. So she's out there looking for the love of her life. Oh, love Nikki. We should get her on for an interview. No, we will.
Should be up for
she
it.
likes us. You know, she likes us. So, but of course, opening ceremony.
Yeah, I did it all.
I can't believe that. I just watched the highlights. And it went for so long, but holds. We're going to talk about that because Lady Gaga performed.
And do you know that is she the first performer in history to have done Super Bowl, Olympics, Oscars? Has anyone else? Celine has not done Super Bowl.
I just feel like probably. Imagine, I just don't know anyone who would think to do those three. You are so homosexual for putting them together. We're going to discuss Lady Gaga, but we are going to do an okay stop on Celine's triumphant return, singing in an Edith Piaf song, which was not
La Vie en Rose.
no, which so many people reported.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Well, I also got a report that it was going to be a duet with Gaga.
No, and let's talk about why. Absolutely fucking not. This is not, and that was never going to happen.
Well, I didn't know whether it was
Hold. Coming up in the sealed section, hear our detailed review of Celine Dion's triumphant return, singing from the Eiffel Tower in a beautiful spangled, sparkly dress, and Lady Gaga's performance with the feathers and the men. That's next. Thanks for joining us. Chat to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
To enjoy today's sealed section of Emsolation, upgrade your experience and join the Extra family with our premium service, Emsolation Extra. You get 2 bonus episodes direct to your favourite podcast app every week in an exclusive feed, as well as an Ask Me Anything where Em and Michael answer your questions. There's over 70 other episodes awaiting you already, plus you'll also get Instagram close friends access, ticket pre-sales, merch discounts, and heaps more. Help Em keep this independent neurodivergent business alive by supporting us for less than $2 a week on our yearly plan or less than $2.50 a week on our monthly plan. Just sign up at emsolation.supercast.com now. Emsolation is recorded at Down the Hill Studios, hosted by Em Rossiano with Michael Lucas. Executive produced by Benjamin Wasley, produced by Em Rossiano. Edited by Ezekiel Fenn and videos by James Henderson. Socials by Benjamin Wesley, M. Russiano and Marcella Russiano Barrow, with assistance from Jem Evans and Isabella Hines. Follow us on Instagram at Emsolation Podcast, where you'll find a link in our bio so you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, join other Emsolators at the Emsolation Group on Facebook, follow our YouTube and TikTok channels, and so much more. Help us out by sharing Emsolation with your friends, give us a 5-star rating, and make sure you're following us by hitting the follow button on your favourite podcast app. Thanks for listening and or watching this week's episode, and we can't wait to chat with you again soon.